Good evening po sa bawat isa. At tayo naman po ay nasa oras na ng ating Bible study and prayer meeting. At magbubulay-bulay tayo sa salita ng Diyos. At ang topic po natin sa gabi na to ay Miraculous Temple Tax in a Fish's Mouth. So, yan po ay makikita natin sa ating teksto na sa Mathew chapter 17 verses 24 to 27. At hayaan nyo po munang basahin ko ang mga talata. Kung inyo pong nakita, ganito po ang sinasabi. After Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma temple tax came to Peter and asked, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Yes, he does," he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus was the first to speak. "What do you think, Simon?" he asked. "From whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their own children or from others?" "From others," Peter answered. "Then the children are exempt." Jesus said to him, "But so that we may not cause offense, go to the lake and throw out your line. Take the first fish to catch, open its mouth, and you will find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours." Ang Diyos po ang magpala sa pagbasa ng kanyang salita. At tayo po muna ay manalangin at ipagkatiwala sa Panginoon ang ating pag-aaral. Aming Diyos, salamat po muli sa sa pribilehiyo na to, sa pagkakataon na to na niloob mo na mag-aaral muli kami ng inyong salita. At dalangin namin sa inyo, Panginoon, na bigyan nyo kami ng karunungan, bigyan nyo kami ng bukas na puso't isip sa para makapag-penetrate sa amin ang inyong salita. We pray, Panginoon, ang guidance ninyo at maintindihan namin, Panginoon, at may sa buhay ang aming mga mapapag-aaralan. Salamat, Panginoon, at pinakakatiwala namin sa inyo ito. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so bilang background po nitong passage, ang numulat po nito ay si Apostol Mathew, no? And you will notice na wala itong cross-reference sa ibang gospel books. And okay, based sa story, sabi sa in verse 24, so after Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma temple tax came to Peter. So, who were the characters dito, no? Na binabanggit. Sino ba yung mga characters na yan? So, makita natin, ang Panginoong Jesus, the disciples, the temple tax collectors, at saka si Pedro, si Peter. So, saan nangyari itong incident, no? So, ito ay sa Capernaum. So, in our previous study, it was a fishing village established during the time of the Hasmoneans, located in the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee, with a port for its fishing industry. At dahil madalas din dito sa Capernaum magstay ang Panginoong Jesus, kaya maraming sitwasyon na nakakapag-perform siya ng mga iba't ibang miracles. Then, kailan nangyari yung incident, ano? So, it should be based from the collection of the temple tax, and it was during one of these Jewish festivals. So, maaaring nasa panahon ng Passover, o kaya sa panahon ng Pentecost, o kaya ng Tabernacles. So, makikita rin natin dito sa talata na there were 2 drachma temple tax collectors approached Peter. So, maaaring yung mga collector na yan ay nag-iikot-ikot na sila dahil time na po yon ng singilan. No? So, nag-iikot-ikot na sila. So, by the way, what is the temple tax? Ano ba yung tinatawag nilang temple tax? The annual temple tax was required to Jewish males na 20 years old and above. Ang required amount was 2 drachma and it was worth half a shekel. So approximately 2 days wages yon. If we will convert sa minimum wage natin, ngayon sa NCR, so minimum wage is 537 times 2 days. So it is amounting to 1,074. And the drachma was used for the upkeep and maintenance. So ibig sabihin ng upkeep, and maintenance. So ito yung mga repairs, yung mga service, so to maintain in good condition of the temple. Yan. So maintenance yon para sa temple. So bakit po mahalaga yung tax na iyon? So sabi po sa Exodus chapter 30 verses 13 to 16, each one who crosses over to those already counted is to give a half shekel. So according to the sanctuary shekel, which weighs 20 gerahs. This half shekel is an offering to the Lord. All who cross over, those 20 years old or more, are to give an offering to the Lord. The rich are not to give more than a half shekel, and the poor are not to give less. When you make the offering to the Lord to atone for your lives. Receive the atonement money from the Israelites and use it for the service of the tent of meeting. It will be a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord, making atonement for your lives. So God told Moses to collect this tax at the time of the census taken in the wilderness as an offering to the Lord. So ito po ay utos ng Panginoon. And sabi rin sa 2 Kings chapter 12 verses 5 to 17 and Nehemiah chapter 10 verses 32 to 33. So to summarize these verses, so it seems the temple tax was paid annually, not just during a census. So binabanggit dito na maliban sa offering, ginagamit din ito pambili sa mga materyales and the other construction works and pambayad din sa mga skilled workers for the repairs of the temple. So when Peter was confronted by the religious leaders na nangongolekta ng tax, and they asked Peter, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" So dito, maring the leaders may have been attempting to prove Jesus' disloyalty to the temple, or baka may iba pa silang gustong makita na maging violation ng Panginoong Jesus against the law. So in verse 25, Peter replied, "Yes, he does." So Peter affirmed that Jesus did pay the temple tax. When Peter came into the house where Jesus was, so maring sa bahay din ni Peter sila nag-stay. He did not have an opportunity to mention the incident. Pero aware naman ng Panginoong Jesus of what had taken place. So Jesus brought up the subject and was the first to speak and asking Peter, "What do you think, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their own children or from others?" So sa ibang Bible version, so ang sabi doon, or from strangers, ganyan. From strangers, yan. So in verse 26, sabi po dito, "From others," Peter answered. "Then the children are exempt." Jesus said to him. Peter replied that kings collect from others because their children are exempt. So Jesus' point here, since the temple was his father's house, he was exempt or excused. So, ang magiging tanong naman sana, why should the Son of God pay a tax to his own Father? So, even though Jesus, as the Son of God, and his disciples were exempt or excused from paying the temple tax, they would pay the tax in order to not offend the Jewish leaders. So in verse 27, sabi po dito, but so that we may not cause offense, go to the lake and throw out your line. Take the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and you will find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours. So Jesus then instructs Peter to throw out a fishing line. Pinagamit na lang ng Panginoong Hesus si Peter ng pamingwit, which would result in a catch. So when Peter opened the fish's mouth, he found a coin that happened to be the correct amount for the temple tax for him and Jesus. So, ano pong lessons ang itinuturo sa atin ng story about the temple tax? So una, Jesus does the obligations pa rin kahit na siya ang Son of God. So, dapat nga exempted na siya. But still, nagpapasakot pa rin siya sa authorities. Tayo ganun din sa ibang organizations. Maaring sa church or kumpanya na pinagtatrabahuhan natin or government na we are involved in. Siyempre po, may mga kanya-kanyang rules and regulations din sila na ipinapatupad at dapat din tayong sumunod. So, let's submit to authorities. At ikalawa, Jesus does not like to argue and to offend religious officials. So, pinapakita ng Panginoong Hesus na hindi niya gusto yung nakikipagtalo pa tayo. Hindi lamang sa mga kapatiran natin, kundi kahit to any government officials na madalas natin nakaka-encounter. And the word offend, dapat maging maingat din tayo sa pagsasalita at pagkilos upang hindi tayo makasakit sa damdamin ng ating kapwa. Madalas akala natin nasa lugar tayo or nasa tama tayo, pero not knowing sa ating pananalita ay may misinterpretation na pala. After the discussion, dun palang marirealize na may na-offend na pala tayo. As Christians, we are free, but we must sometimes surrender our rights in order to uphold our witness and not cause others to stumble. Because true freedom is not serving ourselves, but others. Sabi sa Galatians chapter 5 verse 13, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. Okay? So, nabanggit natin kanina. Okay? So, ngayon, ikatlo naman, lessons. Jesus does miracles in a different way. Like sa experience ni Peter, okay, try to think of it, no? Naisip ko lang din na why yung fish pa ang ginamit ng Panginoong Hesus para dun makuha yung pambayad na coins. And pwede naman sabihin niya kay Peter na, Peter, so nandito naman tayo sa bahay mo, may mga baso ka naman dyan, kunin mo na lang dyan sa loob ng baso yung ating pambayad. Ano? So, another question din, bakit kailangan pa gumamit ng bingwit at di na lang umahon na lang sa tubig yung isda at puntahan si Peter? Ganun din sa buhay natin, ano? Every time meron tayong problema, Yun para bang wala ka nang maisip na solusyon, tipong dead end na. Then biglang darating ang sagot kung saan galing, kung paano nangyari, ganyan ano. And I'm sure most of you have experienced miracles na maaaring in a different way according to your needs. I remember may another example din ano. So, meron tayong kapatiran na nagkaroon sila ng problem about sa mga bayarin, no? Particular sa renta, ganyan. So, they ask God, they pray for it, na talagang iniisip nila kung paano kukuha ng pambayad na talagang dun sa sa renta na yon. And they pray to God, kung yung they ask yung pambayad talaga. Then eventually, dumating yung pagkakataon, dumating yung time na naka-receive sila ng notice na yung pala sinasabi nung lessor na okay, waive na yung waive na yung inyong utang dito sa renta na to. So free na yon. Dahil ano naman ngayon, since COVID naman, ganyan, dahil alam naman natin talaga na nung dumating ang COVID-19 dito sa atin, mula pa nung nagsimula yung lockdown ng March, April hanggang sa ngayon, ay talagang naging apektado talaga yung mga businesses no? And even sa lahat, apektado sa mga staff, sa mga yung business nga na yon. So, nag-cause na talagang nahirapan sa pagbabayad, even sa renta, nahirapan talaga. Pero, kumilos ang Panginoon sa kanila, at ipinakita, no, na talagang in a different way, hindi natin masasabi na gano'n, biglang nagkaroon ng waive, nagkaroon ng free of charge dun sa kanilang renta. Okay? And then, kaya dapat po, let's keep on praying, keep on trusting God at all times, and marami pa po tayong madidiscover na kayang gawin ng ating Panginoon sa ating buhay. And ikaapat, Jesus does miracles in expected ways. Pwede nga sagot din is to show the relevance with the incident. Like for example, parang related sa BIR, we normally remit our tax with a certain percentage kung magkano ang kinita ng business mo. So, fishing as their source of living, as well as their source of income, in expected ways, kaya doon din kinuha yung pambayad nila. Kaya pwedeng sabihin nga ni Peter din, di lamang ang Panginoong Hesus ang nagbabayad, pati tayo kaya niyang ipagbayad. So, in addition to my research, so speaking of fish, according sa mga Bible scholars, may mga saliksik din ng iba't ibang species ng mga fish na lumalangoy dun sa sea malapit sa Capernaum. And also, just to find out what kind of fish yung na-encounter ni Peter. Okay? So, based on their findings, most likely, ang uri ng fish ay tinatawag nilang Chromis simonis. Okay? Maaring nakita nila sa fish yung mga qualities and descriptions, no? So kagaya nung yung fish na yun is a mouth-breathing variety of fish and has a mouth large enough na magkasya yung coin. So malaki pala, no? So parang yan. And the male takes some 200 eggs into his mouth. So, 200 eggs yung kayang nasa bibig niya. And the hatched fish o yung mga hindi na, fish na siya, maliliit na isda na siya, continue there for a number of weeks. So talagang ganong kalaki yung kanyang bunganga. Okay? Now, may observation lamang po base sa informations. And so mapapansinin natin yung name ng fish, no? Isa Chromis simonis. Okay? So then ang complete name ni Peter is Simon Peter. Diba? It shows may similarity sila sa name, ano? Simon and Simonis. Yan. So, pwede po kaya na dahil si Peter ang namingwit, kaya gayong isda ang nagpunta. O pwede rin naman isinunod na lang sa pangalan ni Peter, kaya naging ganon ang pangalan ng isda. Pero, huwag na po natin pasakitin ang ulo natin dyan. Ano po? Okay? But the important thing is, God could send any kind of fish just to fulfill His purpose. Kung paanong inutusan ng Diyos ang isang malaking isda para isubo si Jonah at dalhin sa Ninive, mas lalo pa kaya ang isang maliit na isda na halos parang isang tilapia ang itsura, na para magsubo ng coins at dalhin kay Peter. So tandaan po natin, nothing is impossible with God, and He can do all things beyond our imaginations. If God will do miracle for you, you don't need to drop a big net. You can use even a bing wheat. Salamat po at pagpalain po tayo ng ating Panginoon. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.